guys and welcome to Faewood. So we're about to embark on another creative adventure. I don't know why I need that sort of intro, but I always just feel like when I start a project, usually when I'm speaking to you guys about a project, I have a fully formed idea of what I want to do, but I don't know if I'm going to be successful in doing it. So there's never a circumstance where I'm like, yes, we're going to do this thing and it's going to come out perfectly amazing and I know that it's going to work. So there's always this little bit of trepidation in me that's like, am I bringing you this though? Like I'm saying this, but will it work? I don't know. We're going to go on a creative adventure though, I can tell you that much. So I recently did, and you're not even going to be able to see it from here, I'll link it or something. I did my Spooky Hands project, which as I'm filming this you guys actually haven't seen yet, but it is coming. And it sparked something because basically where I ended up mounting them on the wall, I had to take down a little mirror. Now there's nothing much to this mirror. Let me just show the mirror. It's right here with a stack of other mirrors. So, I'm going to blind you. Let me just do it like that. I took this mirror down. I'm not going to hold that up because it's just going to fully blind you. I took that down off the wall just up here because it just seemed like the best spot to put those hands. And my amount of hanging wall space in this room is at a premium because I don't have a lot of it. So I have to be careful where I hang things and that sort of thing. So that made more sense to have them a bit lower because technically I could put things in the hands if I want to. But so now I have this mirror that needs to go somewhere. Well, it doesn't need to, but it doesn't have a home. And also on top of that, when we bought that, we bought a set of mirrors. I can't even remember why we got these. I can't remember why we got them. I think we just wanted a mirror and it just happened to come in a set and we're like, oh, well, that could be handy. It wasn't even that expensive. Like they're cheap mirrors. So I've got a bunch of, I'm going to blind you again. I've got a bunch of, how do I do this? I've got a bunch of mirrors that I can't really show you. If I do that, size comparison, there's a couple of these, there's a couple of the small ones. And there's this big mama here, which is the one that it's not that big, but you know, compared to the other ones. So anyway, I've got all of these and I'm like, well, I feel like I want to do something with them. And then I saw, I think Hysteria Machine had these really cool wall hangings for sale, which I may get at some point. I may do. And it inspired me because I was like, oh, I love that whole altered art concept, you know, of using a frame and putting some altered art stuff in it. Anyway, that being said, I want to create my own version of that, I guess, with these mirrors because what else am I going to do with them? So I'm going to try and take out the mirrors like I did for this one fairly unsuccessfully because it's smashed into pieces next to me. So the amount of bad luck I'm going to have after this project is going to be astronomical, so send all the luck you can to me because I'm going to need it. I'm probably going to need it for the project itself because, I mean, that can't be a good omen, can it? You know, starting a project with broken mirrors. I don't know. I want to do something a bit different though, and I had this concept, and of course, always inspired by Brian Froud as well, wanting to put some little goblins or some such in here, or just like some little mythical creatures in here, but making it a bit altered art and like looking very ancient and metallic and weathered and that sort of thing. And I want them to like really fit together as a set, hopefully. Well, I somehow managed to get all the rest of the glass out without breaking it, so only 7 years of bad luck. You guys might remember these large bugs that I bought a while back when I was doing my backdrop, and I thought, you know, I really want to mount one of these in the picture frame because I think it'll look cool, and I wanted a bit of texture behind it as well, so I just used this multi-purpose filler, which I've used before on my channel as well, as a textured background. Once I saw it all painted up though, I decided to cover that textured background with beads instead. I thought it would be kind of cool to make it a really jewel toned beetle and surround it by jewels as well. So I've just got a mixture of like glass beads, some freshwater pearls that are a bit lower in quality that I was happy to use for this, and seed beads and things like that. All pink and purple sort of tones, or, well, not really pink, sort of more purple and like indigo blue tones. And then I just used PVA to glue them down. But afterwards I wanted to put a wash over it as well, just to help bring it all together and to cover up the glue a little bit as well. And then I wiped it back, and then I'm using some of my rubbing waxes that you've seen before on my channel on the beetle itself, and a silver colour for the frame. So I've always had a soft spot for this little character that carries around all their possessions on their back. I had to condition the clay for this one because I'm sculpting this. I hate conditioning clay, so I did look into ways to help me condition it. I've tried to look into all sorts of shortcuts around it. It's hard to find any, but I did find the hairdryer helped a little bit just to help warm it up. Kato clay is particularly hard, and so it can be a real pain in the ass to condition. I have got the liquid Kato, which is also helpful. So when you're doing fabric, it does help to just fold it like a piece of fabric would be folded. This was a tricky one. This was my first sculpted picture frame that I did in this set, and I had to think about how to make it 3D but also somewhat flat, because it had to not protrude too much from the picture frame, but it also had to look like the image. So I started to just build it up from things that would be in the background to things that would be more towards the foreground, you know, in layers, and that helped me get my head around where things should be. Now, I'm not the greatest sculptor, so I'm sure some of you watching could do a much better job than me, but it just goes to show that, you know, I think anyone can give this a go and get a pretty decent result. And I like to use a bit of olive oil as a lubricant for helping me to smooth things out with the clay. I do tend to go a bit ham with it though.
You can't look where you're going if you don't know where you're going.
I was searching for something.
Well, look here.
Now, I liked the idea of, instead of sculpting what she has on her back in the picture, of actually using some of my shiny things from in my studio. So I had this jar of little old bits and pieces that I could picture her carrying around, and that's exactly what she's doing. I've covered her back up with all different little buttons and bits and pieces, and just used little bits of clay to keep them in place, because, I don't know, you need something covering it if you're using the clay itself to hold it in place. I did add a bit of glue afterwards anyway, just in case. And then she's walking on these old chains as well. I just thought it was so perfect. So again, I've used that same multi-purpose compound in the back just to give some texture, but I really smoothed it out a lot more this time, and I really liked the way that looked. And then I just coated it all with an acrylic. I decided to go for a dark brown and then do a wash. So I've actually used a watercolor, like black paint wash over the top. And then mostly dry brushing. I wanted this to look quite loose. I didn't want it too crisp or anything. And dry brushing helps achieve that sort of result. I've kept a lot of similar tones from the original picture, lots of reds and browns and things like that. And then I've got this Art Alchemy bronze that I've used for the frame, and finished it off with a bit of gold as well, just to give some dimension. And then a black, like rub and buff, which I've buffed into the grooves. So this is another way of doing a frame as well. I've used some lace, and lace gives a great texture. I particularly love using lace in my jewelry work, as you guys would know if you've been watching any of my jewelry videos. And it's also good in craft projects, and I thought I would try it as something for a frame. I wanted to do a double layer to add even more texture though, and I wanted the wings of the second one not to stick down flat, which is why I've used foil around it to try and stop it from sticking to itself. And then again, I went in with acrylic paint on top, a black wash of watercolor paint, which I do dab away a little bit. And this is another metallic colored paint, which is really pretty. I'll link some of the paints down below. I love these Art Alchemy Metallique paints, so I've really tried to make this quite metallic and pretty. I found that it was a bit too much metallic at once though to have the backdrop also metallic, so I did include a bit of pale blue, and I liked the contrast that that created. And again, I did gold for the frame. I actually changed my mind and changed this when I saw all the set together, because I wanted a mix of cool tone frames and warm tones. But I did also muddy this up, because I mentioned when I was doing the project I wanted this to look really aged and old. So adding again some dry brushed metallic colour on top just to make it not so pristine really gave me that look. And then I just fixed up some more colour if I wanted to reintroduce some more colour into it. Well, that's it for this part, guys, but there's even better ones next time, in my opinion. So stay tuned for next week's. I've cut it in half just to make it easier to watch. I'll see you then.